Hello, friends. Welcome to Medi-Veggie.
Hi everyone, welcome to Medi-Veggie. Wow, oh my goodness. So it's another Wednesday. It's still Lunar New Year all around the world because we take months and months to celebrate. Right, Charles? Well, I want to say hello to everyone and Esther and Dr. Smita, but I'm going to let Esther talk because this is her show.
Oh, it's my show now, guys. You guys are on the Esther show, so now you got to listen to my voice for the next hour and my face. No, thank goodness this is not my show. But actually, I do think it's worth starting a few minutes early today because we have so much good content. So we might as well just get it going. So, welcome everyone to Medi-Veggie, where we encourage health from the mind to the body. During the show, you will get vegetarian recipes or tips and also a short 15-minute guided meditation. And so, for those of us who are new to meditation, we definitely encourage you to just try it once or twice in a week and see if it's helpful for you. And before we officially begin, I also want to say hello to our guests who are watching on Facebook or YouTube, Twitch. Also, we're on LinkedIn now, so hello if you happen to come across us on LinkedIn. We are here every Wednesday officially from 12:15 to 12:45, but we usually chat longer than that. So, just want to check in with all of you guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, we should tell everyone about Mina real quick. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna slide Mina right here. So Mina.
Okay. We are so honored to have Mina Medi-Gates on our show. She is an amazing chef and a transformative health coach who is joining our crew today and in the weeks to come. She truly comes with a wealth of wisdom. We've had her on before, and she has an amazing message about living fully no matter what comes your way in life. So, Mina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. So excited to join this great group of people.
You're part of our dream team now.
Ooh.
And then we're gonna introduce our special guests a little bit later, right? But real quick, we should say hi to Charles, I think.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Charles.
Hi, Mina. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so
Oh.
excited to be part of this group today.
Oh, I'm so excited to see what you're doing too.
Yeah, so Charles Chen has a YouTube channel, and he and his partner, like, they do incredible video clips showing the audience how to cook and everything. So we're super excited to share with you all, and also some Lunar New Year tradition from the Chinese culture, right? Because last week we did Vietnamese, so I know there's some similarities, some similar superstitions.
I'm sure, yeah.
Right, and then different foods. So I think that aspect is going to be pretty interesting.
So I just wanted to mention that I do want to wish a happy Lunar New Year to my friends from other Asian countries who also celebrate the Lunar New Year, like Korea, and everywhere else where they may celebrate. So we do know that it's not only a Vietnamese or Chinese Lunar New Year.
Yep. So Esther, I guess the ball's in your court again. But I want to say
Cool.
hi to Marcos. I want to say hi to Ashley. Who
Yeah.
join us every week. And we love it when people join us on Zoom. And because it adds to the conversation. So we welcome, anyone who wants to join us on Zoom. And to do that, you go to consciousalley.eventbrite.com every week.
Yeah. And also want to add, if you've been with us for a while, you might notice that Matthew is not here. And that from now on, we have Mina Gates on board. So Matthew has stepped away from this work, and we wish him the best on his path. But we are very honored to have the current crew that we have starting today. And to pick up with what we were doing last year with Lunar New Year, we focused on Vietnamese traditions. As Chami said, today we are focusing on Chinese New Year. It's the 6th day of Chinese New Year, and we do have a fantastic recipe to share. Thank you to Chef Charles Chen and his wife, Elva Kwong. They did just launch a YouTube cooking channel called Crazy Couple EC, which we will link in the chats below. And for today's Medi-Veggie, they've created a special tutorial on lotus root wood ear fungus stir fry. It's gonna be so cool. I'm so excited for this video. But just before we begin, Charles, I would love if you could just speak a little on the medicinal qualities of this recipe.
I love lotus root, by the way.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our favorite ingredients to use, especially in Chinese New Year or just throughout the year. Something that I'm so excited to share is just this dish, because it actually is a dish that my mom actually cooked for us, not just during Chinese New Year, but actually just throughout the year, because of the many medical benefits it actually has. So the two ingredients that's in there that really provides the medical benefits is actually the lotus root, the wood ear fungus, and something that I didn't share in the title of the dish is actually sataki mushrooms. So those are three ingredients that we actually use a lot in our traditional Chinese New Year dishes. The benefits of the lotus root, I know Dr. Sima was saying that it's one of her favorites. It's really, really helpful for people that want to have beautiful skin. It also helps you if you want to improve your digestive system. It's actually considered a woman benefit ingredients that a lot of people suggest that if you want to have better menstrual cycle and so on and so forth, lotus root is going to help you that way.
That's great information.
Yes. So I always encourage anyone that might have a little problem with their menstrual cycle. Lotus root is a great way to help balance it and get it back a lot better. And then there's the wood ear fungus, which is great for your heart. It also lowers cholesterol, which is a great way for anyone that wants to start being on a diet and want to be a little bit more healthier. It also gives you the protein that you need, surprisingly. So if you don't want to eat meat, you want to eat healthy but still get the protein and you're exercising, wood and fungus is a great way to do so. And then the mushrooms that I mentioned, the sataki mushrooms, it helps you improve your immune system. And also the same way it helps you with anyone that's trying to lose weight, anyone that might have obesity. The wood ear fungus and the sataki mushrooms will help you in that way. So. Hello, welcome to a special edition of Chelsea's Kitchen. Me and Elva are so excited and so honored to be asked by Chopstick Alley to be featured at one of their weekly events called Medi-Veggie. During this program, they share meditation tips and healthy vegetarian recipes. Therefore, me and Elva are so excited to be able to share one of our favorite healthy vegetarian recipe, lotus root wood ear fungus stir fry. Hopefully, after all of you are able to learn this amazing, delicious, but healthy recipe, all of you are going to have a healthy and amazing, happy Lunar New Year. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. All right, we're gonna start first preparing our ingredients. We're gonna be on the chopping board. We're gonna first take care of our mushrooms that we're gonna have. We're gonna cut it in a julienne. A tip is that when you buy these mushrooms, usually from the Asian market, you wanna make sure you soak it in a warm water for about 5 to 6 hours. Then it will be less, hard, and it will taste a lot better when you stir fry it. And one thing is that the water that you use to actually soak the mushrooms in, you could use it back later when we do the stir fry. So don't waste the water. All right, now we're gonna take care of the wood ear fungus. You wanna make sure that wood ear fungus, you can buy it actually already soaked, or in some of the Asian markets, they're actually bought, dried. So again, similar to the mushrooms, You want to make sure you soak it in water for about, 1 to 2 hours, a little bit shorter compared to the mushrooms. All right, now we're going to start taking care of our ingredients. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the lotus root in boiling water and let it steam for about 1 minute. This way, when you do stir fry the lotus root, it's not going to be as hard, and you're going to take out a lot of some of the sticky content and some of the so-called fiber within the lotus root. Boil for about 1 minute, and then we could then take it out. All right, now we are going to turn off our heat, and now we could take the lotus root out. And we are actually going to be putting the lotus root into cold water. Put in our lotus root. Just feel the heat with your hand. Now we're going to pour in some of our oil. You see the chopsticks, you know our wok is ready. We're going to first put in our cut garlic and our cut ginger. You see the garlic and the ginger are starting to get a little bit golden. We can now start putting our mushrooms in. Now you can put in the fungus, the wood ear fungus. 3 ingredients that are gonna have and make sure that you have a healthy heart, prevent you from having cancer, and also have beautiful skin. Cooking wine, Chinese cooking wine. You wanna just put a little bit. This is to actually make it more aromatic. Put a little bit soy sauce, not too much. Add some of our garlic salt. Again, just a teaspoon will be good. Garlic powder. Again, a teaspoon will be perfect. So we're gonna put in some of our mushroom water that we use. Put a little sugar. And then we wanna put a little sesame oil in this. But it's also great for, hair health. Also perfect for your skin too. Oyster sauce is something that you want to put always on the end. And then you want to put in some of our onions that we cut previously. All right, now we can put in our green onions. We're gonna turn off our heat after we put in the green onions. And then we just want to stir fry again for about 10 seconds. And then now we're ready to chow down. If you like our video, remember to like, subscribe, and comment.
I love that. That's so cool. Thank you.
Honestly, Charles, you are just adorable. It is so darn crazy and so easy. And I am just so thrilled to see you use that bubbly personality of yours to do something, to add it to cooking. Because I've known you for a long time, and you just are energy personified. So this is just fabulous.
Yes, I love it. I love cooking. I love just being able to put a smile on someone's face. So hopefully our channel and our ingredients is actually able to do that. So Mina, thank you. It's so honored to be, being able to showcase one of my recipes here, and hopefully someone will benefit from it,
Yeah.
I love to see men cook. That's one. And 2, I was noticing in Indian cooking, onions always go first. And we soften them and eat them, completely softened, and mushrooms would go last if I were making a mushroom curry. But here, mushrooms go first, onions go last. So it's really interesting that the texture would be totally different.
It definitely.
Yes.
And then again, I actually change it that way because my wife actually doesn't like fully cooked onions. And the benefits of onions, if you don't fully cook it, it keeps a lot of the benefits that is in the onions. So that's the reason why I usually, for my cooking, I put the onions last. So, like you say, I love cooking, and one reason is because of my wife. So I want to make sure any dishes that I make also, my wife will actually eat it. So that's what
I love that you cook for your wife. You have her, in mind while cooking. That's wonderful.
I was freaked out about the big cleaver you were using. So when looking at some of your tools, can you talk to us about that knife you used? And also the using the chopsticks to see whether the oil was ready. Can you tell us a little bit about those two tools?
Yeah, definitely. So, as you can tell, all the tools that you see is actually traditional Chinese cooking tools that was kind of not passed down for me from my mom. But whenever my mom knew that I start cooking, I actually learned all of it from my mom. So any ingredients that you see, I need to have those ingredients in order for me to cook, and it's because I got it from my mom. So that knife, Mina, that you see, the reason why we use that is because in traditional Chinese cooking, they're saying that having a heavy knife is actually the first basic way of having a good dish. Because a lot of stuff, especially when you're cutting, vegetables, especially meat, if you don't have a heavy enough knife, or like we call it a big knife, it a lot of times the meat and the vegetables will not be fully cut into the way that you want it to do. So usually that thing is maybe about a pound heavy, or even 2 pounds heavy. The one you just saw me use is actually for my vegetables. I actually have another heavy one for meat that's about 2 pounds, so a pound heavier than that knife. And then that
my fingers would be in that. I was like,
and then that wok. So a lot of times when a skill that my mom taught me to make sure that when we use those knives we don't cut ourselves, is we always want to make sure that we cut this way. We never want to cut this way. So it ensures that we don't cut any of our fingers, but you're still able to press on the meat or the vegetables so you can still cut it. So that's one skill that my mom taught me. And you can see a lot of people use certain woks, but I use that wok, and that's the traditional Chinese wok. So back in those days, in China, they didn't have stoves. So they actually will have like the charcoal stove where they put charcoal in the bottom. So the reason why they use those kind of wok is that it helps it balance it, and it helps it keep more of the steam, and the stir fry is something called wok hay. So those wok hay will stay in the wok. So when the dish comes out, it's still very, very steamy. It still has that wok hay in it. So that's why you see it very deep, and you can see it's like an oval way. So it keeps all the wok hay within the dish. So
cool.
I love that you add educational components to your cooking, Charles, which I don't think a lot of people do, especially for Asian cooking.
yeah.
And there's so many benefits. And you constantly like, it's great for your skin and hair. And also, it makes my ears perk up, because we are eating from, was it beauty from the inside out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And your cooking knowledge and your knife, like how you explain the knife and the wok, it all makes sense to me now, where I really didn't know before. I just thought, I didn't understand why my mom uses these large cleavers, because I don't have one in my kitchen because I'm kind of afraid of them. But now I have to rethink that. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I've used like tools that are not any of these stuff that's passed along by my mom, and it definitely does taste different, the dishes, after it comes out. I don't know if it's just a mental thing. But I think the ancestors, whatever they passed down, there has to be a reason, right? I always think that way. So I'm just so happy that I get to continue to, pass down what my mom taught me, and what I, saw from her when I was a little kid. I would always be that person that's standing there and, watching her when I was like 2 years old to I don't know how old I was, and just watching her and just trying to learn what she's cooking for us. And she's always wanted a daughter, so she could pass on, her skills, her so-called in her way feminine skills.
But you changed the tradition. You changed the tradition.
I did. I told her.
Despite being born in an Asian household, here you are cooking with passion, making your wife happy. I love that.
And I think that Charles is a trendsetter in many, many ways. Charles and I were, I think, the only Asians working at the donor network in the jobs we were doing. And in the South, especially in the South Bay, the Asian community is quite large. And we worked at the donor network, which was, organ donation. So this is a new it's a kind of a rare, you don't grow up being Asian, working in death or working in organ donation, right? So Charles not only took that, but I mean, he's gone on and done some amazing things in his education. And
Yeah.
this is just another
Charles,
indication.
thank you so much for your presentation. We get to chat with you some more right after meditation. So everybody like stay tuned because we are going to pick his brain. There's a lot there. Dr. Gar, can you please tell us about today's meditation?
Yes, so this past weekend has been very difficult energetically. Those of you who've been watching me have, heard me talk about energy. I'm very, very sensitive to energetic changes in our world, in our universe. And I felt a very, very difficult energy passing through our systems. Um, and it had to do with a lot of emotional purging. So today's meditation is about learning to work with our emotions and learning to recognize who we are, truly are, beyond our emotions. So again, a guided meditation. I hope all of you benefit from it. That's always my hope before I do one of these. So just find a comfortable spot to sit down and relax and just listen to my voice guide you into this meditation. So let us do a quick body and breath check. Just a quick body and breath check. With your eyes closed, scan your body. Move all the way from the top of your head, slowly down to your feet. And make a note of areas where there may be tightness or soreness. And don't do anything else, just simply make a mental note. And may I request everybody to mute themselves while we are doing this meditation. And now bring your attention to your breath. How are you breathing today? Are you breathing fast or slow, shallow or deep? Simply observe and do nothing. Just let it be. Stay in the awareness of your breath. Breathing is a beautiful and easy way to go within. And it is also a quick way to check how you are feeling deep inside. And now just keep breathing easily, comfortably, in and out, taking in fresh, releasing the old, taking in energy, releasing the heaviness. And now take a deep breath in, fill up your lungs, and hold for a moment. And let go. And once more, take a deep breath in, hold, and release. Let us look at our emotions today. Emotions are always present in our body, in our system. They affect us. They affect us deeply. When we are joyful, we feel a beautiful expansion in our whole being. Our heart feels light. A smile appears on our face. We feel like skipping or moving. There is a dance in our whole body when we are filled with joy. In contrast, when we are sad, depressed, or anxious, we feel a weight, a heaviness in our bodies. Our shoulders droop. Our chest feels like it's carrying a ton of weight. We feel like trudging through lead. Whether joyful or sad, we often forget that we are breathing. We forget the breath. Emotions are truly like waves in an ocean. Imagine you are sitting quietly on the shore. You are by yourself, with no one else around. Just you and the water. And the only sound you hear are the sounds of the water, the waves. Waves coming to the shore, then leaving, receding, then coming back to the shore with a greater force, and then receding again. And as they come, they cover parts of the shore. They drench you often. Our emotions can feel that way too. At times they come gently, and at other times they come with a force. At times they arrive suddenly and engulf you, take over your mind and body, and affect you in different, unexpected ways. When experiencing a deep sadness or grief, we often feel it is here to stay, that it will never leave us. The more we feel that way, the longer it stays. We experience a contraction in our being. We feel small. We feel stuck. And when we experience joy, it feels so short-lived, as if it just came and went. But in those moments of joy, our spirit feels uplifted. We are filled with lightness. We can barely feel our feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. There is great comfort in knowing that emotions stay only a short time, even though it may not feel that way. And that like waves, they have a movement. There is great comfort in knowing that when sadness or grief take over, they will leave. For sure, they will go away. As for joy, you can allow it to stay as long as you wish, but know that it will also come and go. This is the innate nature of every emotion. Let us take a deep breath and let go. Now bring your attention to the one who is experiencing all these emotions. Who is this one who is experiencing all these emotions? Bring the focus on you. Know that you are like the bed of the ocean. Your nature is stillness and steadiness, and you are deep. And in your depth, no emotion can affect you. Underneath the layers of waves on the ocean bed, which is you, there are only treasures to be found. And when you begin to observe all the emotions as an observer, those emotions cease to have a deep effect on you. They just move on and move away. While meditating, you can be with that real you, the one who observes. Take a deep breath and let go. And now, with the simple act of breathing, just come to a deep state of relaxation. The breath will lead you, to the real you. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smita. That was much needed for me today.
You're welcome. How is everybody feeling?
More grounded.
A lot
So
more.
good.
Yeah, that was different from most meditations that I do because I was receiving all these messages today that we tend to become so deeply taken by our emotions that we forget the one who is experiencing them, right? So
Yeah.
Everyone's like so in the zone. It's hard to come back. It's like 15 minutes is not long enough. So what that really means is for those of us who are here, we've been doing this since August, guys. And so I think we're starting to realize, we can do this longer. When initially for me, 15 minutes is like, it's like too long. But now I feel like I can keep going for a while.
Yeah.
Are you experiencing that too?
yeah, I mean, when I do my meditations, I'm gone for sometimes an hour or more.
Yeah. There was a time in my life where I started meditating and it was just 15, 20 minutes. But the more I did it, the more obsessed I became with it. At times I was in for 3 hours a day, and it just literally changed life. So nice. Thank you, Smita.
You're
That was
welcome.
amazing. Yeah. I think with work, it's just so hard to not look at your phone and not look at your laptop for not even 15 minutes, maybe even for 5 minutes. So that was such a great excuse to just not look at a screen and not look at anything and just look at yourself, right? I think that's what meditation is.
Yeah.
And maybe
And
that's why we don't spend enough time looking at ourselves.
Yeah, we don't.
Right?
We don't.
yeah, I mean, how many times are we in a corporate office or something and somebody says something and we are like, oh, whoa, right? Or, a relative or a loved one says something that is so hurtful, it just comes and hits us. And then for the next week, months, we are like down, right? But it's good to know that emotions come and go,
Yeah.
and if we just start becoming the observer of those emotions, then we can reach that state of steadiness within us, the stillness. That is the true us, the ocean bed.
How
And
you
the waves can come and go, come and go.
how you feeling,
Yeah.
Emma?
That's good advice.
Emma, would you like to share anything?
I really liked just what you were saying about the just the energy this week. It made me smile because like the past couple of days, I tend to cry, have a good cry maybe once a month, but the past couple of days have just been like very overwhelming feelings. Yesterday I was cooking dinner and just suddenly started sobbing, and my family's like, did you burn yourself? What's wrong? And nothing's wrong. That's just suddenly overwhelmed. So it was comforting to hear other people were feeling some of that energy.
So it's collective purging when that happens. Those of us who are more sensitive and empathic, we are just going to feel it in our bodies. We are going to feel this overwhelming need to cry or just heaviness like a weight. And it's really difficult energy. We can't really do anything about it because if we try to suppress it, it's still going to be there, So just observe it, you give it space, you acknowledge it, and then you keep cooking, go back to cooking.
Speaking of cooking, I think I have to formally introduce our special guest, Charles Chen. So I'm going to be spotlighting him so he can show us his best side. So here we go. So Charles Chen was born in Guangzhou, China, and immigrated to the US when he was only 2 years old. Although he grew up in the US, he made sure he continued to keep up his native roots, which we love that about you, Charles. One way he was able to do this was to spend time with his mom in the kitchen, learning many traditional dishes that were passed down from his ancestors. And then he fell in love with cooking and being able to share these recipes with others so his native roots could be passed on to others. He currently shares his recipes through his and his wife's YouTube channel called Crazy Couple EC. He hopes the recipe he learned from his parents can bring happiness and fulfillment to anyone who learns them. So we want to talk with you some more since you have all these traditions. Can you share with us, what do you guys do for Lunar New Year that's unique to the either Guangzhou region or to the Chinese culture?
Yeah, definitely. So I love that meditation because I was just sharing with everyone how this year has been a very unique Chinese Lunar New Year. One tradition we always do, and we were not able to do this year because of social distancing, was going to visit relatives, right? Usually the tradition is to, bring some kind of, candy or some kind of treat, and you go to a family or a friend's house and sit there, and it's called something called baili. So giving good, fortune and kind of welcoming the new year with other people. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that this year. But that was a tradition that not only we did, but other people would come to our house to do so. And usually it was a very stressful year because I think, for us, we have two New Years that we get to go through. The first year, we're like, okay, it's not New Year yet because, we still have Chinese New Year. And then Chinese New Year comes and nothing has changed, right? So nothing we could usually traditionally do, we could currently do because of the pandemic. So that's one tradition that we were not able to do, but we used to do every year. We will continue to do it until the 15th of the Lunar New Year. So after the 15th, you're not supposed to go to anyone's house after that. A tradition I think everyone does, including Vietnamese and Chinese, is red envelopes, right? That was a big thing because this was actually our second year that me and Elva got married, and we were looking forward to, just going around and passing out some, good fortune to other people, but we were not able to do that this year either. Last year, we weren't able to do it because of my passing of my grandma, so we were not allowed to go to people's house. So this year, especially, we were looking forward to it, and then we were not able to do that. So that was a tradition that unfortunately we were not able to do this year.
In the Vietnamese traditions, very much the same about, if you had a death in the family, you cannot visit others, and how the first of the new year, you're not to visit anyone.
Yeah.
But we are supposed to visit afterwards. So the second day of the new year is when you visit family, and the third day is when you visit friends. And and everyone kind of keeps this tradition. So if, let's say, your friend or family shows up to your house on the first, you're like, excuse me? You're like, say what? So nobody does that. Like somehow we all know, right, Charles? Is that
correct? Yeah. It's pretty similar. A big difference is on Lunar New Year's Eve is where your intimate family gathers together. So usually your wife, your mom and dad, and then on the first day of Lunar New Year, that's where we actually eat vegetarian dishes. So we're not allowed to eat any meat. We're usually eating some type of a vegetarian dish. Some areas in China is a little bit different, but in Guangdong, that's actually something we do. We always make sure that on the first we eat a vegetarian dish. And on the second day is where we go and visit our wife's family. So it's interesting, Trami, because in our family, our imminent family is considered, the husband's family, right? So anyone that's not part of the husband's family.
I think that runs through the Asian tradition, and one I don't agree with.
Yes, I don't agree with it, but it's just a great excuse for us to, go see, someone that's outside of our family and my wife's family. Unfortunately, my wife's mom and dad is actually in China, so on a second, we really don't get to do that, but that's actually a tradition we do. And then something that before Lunar New Year, on the 28th day before the Lunar New Year, we're not supposed to actually wash our hair. So that's also something we're not supposed to do. But we are supposed to clean the house. After the 28th, on the 29th, 30th, and 1st, we're not supposed to clean the house. We're only supposed to clean on the 28th. And after that, it's until after the first day of Lunar New Year, we are able to actually so-called clean the house. So we have to turn off our iRobot after the 28th. And it's funny, this morning, my wife was like, do you remember to turn it back on? And I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot, because we didn't hear it start going on and waking us up in the morning. So those are just some traditions that we have. Something that we also do on the 30th is we call something called Hoi Yao Walk. So how I was sharing the walk with everyone, right? A tradition that my mom always does is that she always makes sure that she put oil in there and fry. So that's called Hoing the Yao, opening the walk. That means it's opening the year, and ensuring that, anything that we have in the upcoming years is going to be, like energetic, walkful, because walk is like very energetic. That's what it means. So that's also a tradition we do. So my mom will usually, fry some, like pastries, and those pastries are something that we eat throughout the 15 days. And then also making like turnip cake and ear cake and stuff that we usually eat on actually the 3rd of the Chinese New Year. So
I love how in your culture, food is such a center part of life. So the walk, right, is life,
yeah.
it's the burning. So is there a kitchen god in your culture? Because in mine there is. Right. So it's the same. I think, we got our culture from China. Can I say that? I mean, my Vietnamese people will be like, Tommy, how dare you? But let's face it, that's where it came from. So yeah, tell us about your kitchen god.
Yeah, we do. So we call it a Zhou Guan. So that's someone we call it.
Zhou Guan is Vietnamese.
Yeah, there you go.
Same.
Very, very similar. So like you said, actually is usually in the beginning of the year, the first day. My mom will do something called Bai Zhou Guan, or Bai San Xin, or Bai Zhou Xin. And that's
Bai means to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Same word in Vietnamese.
Yes. So usually on the first and the second is where we would actually buy Zhou Xin, and that's where we will prepare some like roasted pork, a chicken, usually a steamed chicken, and then we will actually have some incense, and then we'll actually pray for 3 times for each of our Zhou Xin and Zhou Guan. So if we're able to do that, that's trying to say that in that year, we're going to have unlimited food. We're going to have a great year where we're not going to be hungry, and we're going to have all the food we can't eat, and we're able to be festive and, not have to go through any worrying about not having food in our plates. So
I would love to hear from Esther, because Esther is of Chinese descent, but Taiwan, right? I'm sorry. You have
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. There you go. So I know you have your own practices, and Ashley is half Vietnamese, half Chinese. So I want to hear from Ashley too. So Esther, go. Tell us what the don't do.
Well, the funny thing is, my parents are both Christian, so I think that our Chinese traditions were very much filtered through the Christian beliefs, right? So a lot of things that are considered superstitious, we wouldn't do, but that's basically everything. So I think, I don't know, on my family, we exchange lychee, right? The red pockets. We'll gather if we can, obviously not this year, but like all of these other traditions, like with the walk and not washing hair, cleaning the house, you don't really do any of it. Is it different for you, Ashley?
Honestly, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like my family wasn't religious at all, but like growing up, they just kind of they do everything on their schedule, like they make up their own like Chinese New Year traditions and stuff. And so like hearing you guys talk about like certain days where we do certain things, like I didn't know any of that, because my parents were just like, oh, we're gonna do this on this day, you're gonna eat this on that day. I'm just like, okay, like I'm fine with that.
It always fascinates me how culture meets religion, right? Like there are certain things that the culture has been following, and then a certain religion comes from another part of the world, and they try to kind of, say that things have to be this way, but then people have a way to adapt, in a way that they are able to find a middle path where they're able to do their cultural stuff, which comes from generations of living and growing in that culture. And then
we also pray outside. I don't know if you do that, where you like put a whole chicken, like with the neck and the feet and the head, like the whole thing. I don't do that, but I was walking, in Evergreen, down to whatever, that little square in Evergreen, and in front of this Asian business, they had this full-on spread with the chicken, and I was like, okay, it's a little much, but I felt like I was in Vietnam suddenly. Do you do that, Charles?
We do. So like I was saying, when we pay tribute to our Joseon, our ancestors, one thing we also do is buy teen. So like, give worship to the sky and to the heavens. So we will actually then bring that, crispy pork and that steamed chicken that also still have the head, trammy too, and also has the wings and everything else. And we will actually put it in front of kind of like an incense holder. And then we'll also be doing that three, prayer. So it's always 3. You can't do more than 3. You can't do less than 3, because if you do 2, it's considered disrespectful. If you do 1, it's also considered disrespectful too. So when we give the incense, also it's the same thing. We only could do either 1 or 3. We can't give 2.
What about 4?
We can't do 4 either, because 4, especially in Chinese,
bad number.
Yeah, it means the word dead. So if you ever go to China, they never have in the elevator the word fourth floor or 14th floor, anything with the word 4. And some of them don't even have the word 7 in there. So because 7 means stupid, if we say in Chinese too. So if you go to China, you're like, ooh, if someone tells you, go to the 4th floor, then they're tricking you, because there's usually no 4th floor in any of the Chinese buildings.
That is funny.
Right.
I am so amazed by the amount of variety between even Esther, Ashley, and Charles. Like, I guess, one can't really even assume that all of the traditions are similar. We look similar, but the variety in these rituals and these traditions are so vast and different. And I'm just marveling at the fact that there are so many similarities and so many varieties.
Right. It's like you, Mina, you and me, we are both originally from India, right? But then to different parts of India. And then you didn't even grow up in India.
No, my family came from Africa and is Indian. And then I grew up in England and I'm Indian. Then I moved to Canada and I'm Indian. So all those other little, Monday night hockey, filled with, Diwali, it's just all kind of merging, right? It's so cool.
Yeah, it is really neat. And I have to say, I have to go back to the number 4, because we're like, so that has to do with feng shui or feng shui, right?
Yeah.
So in America, they're starting to learn to adapt to this craziness, because if you bought a home that had that address or your business, you actually.
Oh.
We just lost audio on you, Trami.
Yeah.
A sudden.
You mentioned the number 4, Trami.
Number 4, Trami.
Yes.
What it is.
Yes.
You jinxed it. You jinxed it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
It said internet unstable for suddenly number 4. See, I'm telling you, but you can petition the city or county to change your address, and so that has been done.
What?
And okay, so because I'm fascinated with ghosts, if you know me. So that movie Amityville, the house.
Yes.
Okay, so I was wondering, like, if it was still there, do people still live in it? And it's been sold multiple times, but people still live in it. But guess what? The house number changed, because the original house number, if you add up all the numbers, equals 4. I am telling you. So they have changed
Wow.
the number to something else.
You know, I love the number 4, so I'm not going to. Also, number 7 is one of my best numbers, so I'm not gonna.
Well, like in some traditions, the owl is considered wise, but
Yeah.
I don't think in the Indian tradition, you're not supposed to have owls hanging around. So it's just so weird. It's like,
You
it's,
know,
it's
I'm not sure about that, Mina, because
really?
you know, owl is the transportation for goddess Lakshmi, who's the goddess of prosperity.
Okay,
So
bring
I
them on.
think
I want more owls.
All right, we're going to have to research and get back to our audience
But
about
what's
owls in India.
but what's the ox? What's the year of the ox about? This is the year of the
yeah,
ox and the metal
yeah, I think
ox. What's
I
that?
know. I'd like
Let's
to hear
ask
about
Charles.
that.
Let's ask
Yeah,
Charles
so
about the
it's
ox.
it's interesting. So the year of the ox. So we have 12 Chinese zodiacs. The year of the ox. Mainly, it doesn't really affect a lot of people, but the people that are actually born in the year of the ox, that's considered a bad year for them. So it's called something called fan tai sui. So it means if you look at just the Chinese traditional astrographics and looking at what is considered okay and what is not considered okay with horoscope. They said that if you're born in the year of the ox and that year is actually the year of the ox, and the same if you were born as the year of the snake and that year is the year of the snake, then that year you're actually going to have a year where it's not as good fortune as you will want it to be, because it's the same year that you were born, so-called. So usually every year they look at different horoscopes to look at what benefits you. But they usually say that if it's that year that you're born, for example, if you were born in the year of the ox and this year is the year of the ox, that's where you want to make sure that you do something to make your good fortune better, because it's considered a year where you're going to have bad fortune.
So what
So
are some of the things that you guys do?
yeah, so it's different. I know something that we do is that we always try to have bamboo in our house. So we will usually have bamboo sticks in our house, which means that it continues to give you good fortune. So regardless of that year, whatever year that is, bamboo shoots bamboo sticks or bamboo shoots that you keep in your house is going to bring you good fortune, bring you good health and wealth. Usually what we do is every year during Chinese New Year, we also always want to buy some kind of flower home. So it's because that if you bring flower home, it's called fa hoi fu guai. So fa hoi fu guai means that you're bringing all the wealth back into your house and you're making sure you're blossoming your house out. So usually during the first day of Chinese New Year, we always have some type of flower in our house. And we actually went all out. We bought something in Costco, and then the other day it was Valentine's Day also. So we had a lot of flowers in our house for
Yes, us too. The whole flower thing, and especially when it blooms on the first, right?
Yes.
On the first day of the year. Like my grandma would watch this plant, and if it grows, this year will be the best year. It bloomed today, like all these superstitions. But at the end of the day, really, it's really about what you feel is good for you. So if number 4 and number 7 is good for you, Dr. Smita, it's good for you, right? For me, it's about mind and belief, right? And so what you think about, you bring about, right? But I do have to say, it doesn't hurt if you have certain things that you don't want to do. It's okay, avoid it. Why not? It can't hurt, right? Oh my
I
goodness.
do want to add this. So 2 years ago, my parents visited the mainland. I don't even know exactly where they went, but they did go and pick out like 2 different Hanfu outfits. I'm not going to show my pants because I didn't dress for that. But I've been following kind of on Tumblr, I guess, and Charles, tell me if I'm wrong, but there's been a resurgence, right, where the young people, the streetwear is now fusing traditional dress back into street fashion, and people look so good, and I'm like, yikes, I better get on this trend before other Americans do, because that's what happens in America. People are
my
ooh,
goodness,
that's cool,
yeah.
let me take that.
Yeah. So if you ever want to think about, I don't know, you could think about Paris and France as, the European fashion, city. If you ever want to think about fashion city in China, Chengdu is the place. So if you ever go to Chengdu, it's actually in Sichuan area, you will see the most hippest people ever. And that's where,
Wow.
you see people literally walking catwalks just anywhere you go in
Wow.
Chengdu. So
Isn't that where the panda bears Luminars are from?
Yeah. So, but it's so crazy. You go in there and everyone just looks so fashionable. They're so so dareful of what they wear and everything. And they include, like you said, the Han folk in part of their traditional wear and what they actually wear. So if you ever want to see fashion in China, Chengdu is the area to go to.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And if you like spicy food, that also is a great area to go to too.
So has everybody here watched Bling Empire?
Yes, I love Bling Empire. So think of Housewives, the show, but this is like the Asian people. And so what I love about it is finally I can relate to them, right? Because they bring in their culture where they're talking about everything Charles is talking about, the whole like the dynamics between mother-in-law, parents, and how a child, a daughter-in-law having the first son, these dynamics that exist in our daily lives that, normal Americans don't have to deal with, right? The non-Asian Americans don't have to deal with. So to watch it and watch, to be able to relate is really cool. But yeah, are they extreme? Yes. Are they totally whacked? Yes. Right? I mean,
is it like Crazy Rich Asians? Is that what it's
No.
like?
It's like that, except they're in LA. Is that right?
In LA, in Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Yes. Part of LA.
And
so there you go.
in episode 6, I think it was episode 6 that they bring in a past life regression therapist, and I'm like, yay, and this and this person actually helps Kevin, the guy in the show, right? And I'm like, thank God they did a really good job.
And everything. Like if anyone's done a past life regression with Dr. Smita, you're gonna like cry and all this craziness. So it was just like that. It was really neat.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
It was a good validation for the work I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, move over Kardashians. Move in the winds.
It's more extreme than the Kardashians, I think sometimes, right? Because I think, like Travi said, because of those traditions, right?
Yeah.
Just that, mother-in-law and, wife, dynamic.
Mhm.
Oh my God, you could see that. I think you could, like, Mina mentioned Crazy Rich Asians, and, the main actress, the main character, and, the main character's mom, and that little like dynamic was shown in Crazy Rich Asians too, and how that's always considered to see like one of the biggest dynamic in any family. I'm so glad that my wife and my mom gets along. That's like
Yeah. You're lucky.
I'm witnessing this change in America. I don't know if you guys are noticing it too. From the fashion, Esther, you're talking about, I'm seeing this like growth in Asian, like the respect for the Asian culture, the recognition of the Asian culture. Yes, there's some negative aspect, right? Like being targeted and all that. At the same time, simultaneously, I feel like we are growing in the way our art is being perceived, or fashion, food, and all that. And I love it. I love seeing this change. Like when you think about Valentine's Day, right? I mean, I don't know about other families, but for me, it's like, oh, you got to go to a nice, fancy American restaurant. I don't know why. Why can't it be a fancy, nice Chinese restaurant, Vietnamese restaurant, right? But we always think like that. And that's like...
in my home, it's vegan Vietnamese, no matter what. No matter what we are celebrating, everybody's always up for vegan Vietnamese.
Isn't that funny? And Charles, I don't know if you're aware of this, but for Vietnamese weddings, we go to Chinese restaurants.
Yeah, I know. The dynasty.
Fancy.
Yeah.
The fancy restaurants.
With the rotating table, right?
Yeah.
And 10 courses. 10 courses.
10 courses.
I love it.
Like so many of my Vietnamese friends, that actually lives in San Jose, Dynasty is the place to go.
Yes.
So
Oh, okay.
that's actually the place to go to for all their banquets.
Yes,
So,
they invite as many
Dynasty.
people as possible, even people they don't know, or they just pass on the street and have a business card. They're like, you're coming to the wedding.
My
Because,
sister had 750 people at her wedding,
right? And the reason for
and my
us,
mom cooked.
it's the money. You collect a lot of money.
Oh,
dude.
And it's
Oh.
understandable too. It's like everyone knows this. Everyone's okay with that. They don't bring like, a plate. They don't do that. I mean, Americans bring plates and they're like, weird. Okay, whatever.
But Trami, do the kids get the money?
The money helps you start your life as a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question,
Yes.
Mina. do the kids get the money? The kids who are getting married, or do the parents keep the money?
No, the
Right.
kids. So they take the money, they pay off all the debt of the wedding,
Correct.
and then they have this extra money. So they actually plan on profit. So that's why they're like 750 people minus all the expenses that we're gonna make $23,000 at the end. So some people will pay more. So we average, like, literally you have this conversation, right?
Really?
The kids, because the parents also give the kids money, and so if normal guests in a given Chinese banquet range between $100 to $200 a head,
Correct. Usually.
right?
Wow.
So as a guest, you go, I want to pay for my meal, and I want the couple to have extra money. So that's like
Right.
you're a stranger, you're just kind of
Right.
like, hey, I know that couple. But if you know them very well, then it's like 500 or more, and your family, it's in the, team.
Relative.
Mina,
odds and
Desi
ends have to be
families don't
500,
think like
so.
No, Indian families, it's not like that. Yeah, they keep the money, and then you just have to sit there and do your thing that you're supposed to do at the right time, and wear the right clothes and do everything. But no, but the parents then give them the houses and cars, and
It goes around. It eventually gets to you. Yeah. With us, it's more direct. Money. And then you assign a person, during the wedding to be the money holder, right?
Yes.
wow.
Like you trust that
That
person.
person's holding a purse, like a big purse or something.
Like you trust that person. Like that person better not be leaving. Their social security number.
We're like getting so off topic away from like meditation and vegetarian, but I am definitely curious because Charles, your wedding was not too long ago. I'm curious just how traditional your wedding was.
So I'm very lucky. We actually did not have a wedding. So we actually got our license in SF City Hall. And the great thing about our parents, that's why me and Alva are so lucky. Like we say in the Chinese culture that when you get married, it's not a 2-person thing. It's a 5, 6, 8-person thing, because usually all family members have to be part of it. Luckily, it's and I think it's meant to be. Like, when me and Elva started dating, my mom and dad immediately told me, it was like, we don't want a big wedding, we don't need that. And then Elva's parents also said, guess what, we don't want a big wedding, we don't need anything of that. But the plan was before the pandemic, we were going to do a little like mini vacation, maybe in Bali or somewhere, to just have very, very intimate family and friends join us. But that didn't happen. But that's the plan. So we actually didn't have the big 15 tables or 20 tables or 100 tables banquet, which is a good thing. I think in Elva's mom and dad's mindset is they don't want people to spend money. Like Jamie was saying, usually when you have to come in the banquet, if it's more closer families, it's usually $500 usually. If it's less closer family and friends, if you get less than 100 or 200 people are gonna start talking in the back of you. They're like, "Oh, do you know that like Charles like $99 or Charles only $88?" Like that happened. So luckily we didn't have to worry about that. And hopefully when pandemic is where we get to have that very intimate wedding that we want, because people that joins those big weddings, and I'm sure Trammy could tell you, the wife, the groom, and the bride never gets to eat anything, right? They're always running around. Yeah. They're usually, never having the chance to actually sit down, eat, and enjoy the wedding that they spend so much money on, right? And I think our parents and my wife's parents didn't want us to experience that. And I MC for so many of my relatives and friends' banquets, and the MCs don't get to eat. So you could only imagine that the bride and the groom also doesn't get to eat. So
what happens to the extra food, guys? Like all that food, what happens to it after these big weddings?
They bring it home. Like a lot of people will, start having the to-go boxes and bring it home, and it's okay because they consider it as a way of bringing good fortune back home, and just bringing back good stuff, because in our tradition is lin lin yao yu. So that's why if you ever go out to eat with a group of Chinese people, especially Guangdong people, if there's 10 dishes in front of you, usually the 10 dishes always have one piece left in each of the plates, and it's because they want to make sure the next time they continue to have something to eat. So lin lin yao yu. So something.
That's why the Chinese people are just much smarter than the Indians, because when you put 10 dishes down and there's Indians, it's all gone. There's nothing left.
Yeah, because we Indians believe in polishing off like every.
Same here.
Eat, eat, eat.
Oh my goodness, I'm reminded of this one incident where we were invited for dinner and we ate, and then when we all got into the car had a flat tire.
Oh my God.
This actually happened, and that dinner was memorable because our host fed us so much that I thought I would throw up. So there are some traditional Indian families, they just feel like if they're feeding you, like just literally,
Oh,
it-
and do you
oh
know,
my
in
goodness.
Chinese culture and Vietnamese culture, is it a good sign to belch at the table? Because
No.
after Indian dinners, the bigger the belch, the better the cook. The bigger the belch,
Wow.
the better job you've done. You
Wow.
know?
I would get smacked if I
Yeah,
did
no.
that.
We're,
No, it's a,
we're not even supposed to talk in dinner. It's called 食不言，寢不語. So if you even talk in the real traditional, Chinese, banquet or anything, you're considered being very unpolite and being not having good manners. So, I remember back in those days when I actually used to eat in front of a dinner table with my grandpa. I would not eat because I'm just scared of that. I'm going to start talking. I'm going to start coughing. And then I'm left-handed, and my grandpa hates people that use chopsticks left-handed. So I will have to force myself to use my right hand
Oh.
eating with my grandpa. So it's pretty interesting in that way.
Charles, I feel like you should write a book. Like I feel like your family traditions
yes.
they're really nice yet funny at the same time.
It's so funny because
Your
we
perspective
we
makes
just
it
actually
really-
recently moved to Dublin, right? And we just bought a place there, and then my wife's dad was aware of it, and then at midnight one night he called us, and he was like, "Can you tell us which face is your bed, the head of your bed facing?" And we're asking why. Why are you asking that? And apparently he asked someone about feng shui in our house and everything, and he said if the front of our head is facing south and not north, he's gonna have us put a green carpet in front of our front door because of a tradition. And we're like, oh my God, we know this is gonna happen, because when we bought a house, my mom was like just coming up with so different crazy traditions. Like you have to buy a new pot and boil water before walking in and all that.
My mom made me do that.
Yeah,
So-
we boil milk in our kitchen when we first, and then we have that whole Vastu or north, south, east, west thing. The home should be facing east, and
Yeah.
our
Yes.
and
Yes.
our head when we are asleep. This I have experienced actually. If I am asleep in a direction where my head is facing north or west, I don't get good sleep.
See
So
this compass, Charles, get your app, your compass
I
app.
have it. I was using it, Trammy. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so much work and everything. Because, when we bought our house, we actually, there was a lot available. And then it's funny, in our community, it's a lot of Indian, some of them, and they actually love the facing east and facing west, front door, houses. But when we saw it, Elva's dad was like, you're not going to buy anything that's facing east or facing west. You have to buy the one that's facing north or south, because that's considered best for the Chinese culture. So the only one left was one house that was facing north and facing south. So we had to only get that one. We couldn't pick anything else. But it's funny.
Well,
you
it works out.
Yeah.
All the east-west homes are taken by Indians. All the north.
Well, we're neighbors.
Gotta love the Bay Area.
Charles, we are neighbors, Charles. I'm so excited.
Continue this conversation offline. What do you
Yeah.
think, Esther? Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a super fun show, Charles. We have to have you again. So grateful for each of you here. To our guests, if you've stuck with us this long, thank you. We'll be here next Wednesday with another vegetarian recipe, another meditation, and more fun, more laughs, more cultural exchange.
Everyone else, stay on Zoom. Bye, everyone.